It's a fundamental flaw, I believe, in trying to teach people how to improve and develop personally. In the pursuit of clarity, we need to know exactly what it is that we're willing to sacrifice in order to get a more precise picture. Most of us don't even know what that picture is. But this is a video for someone that has a semblance of an idea of what they really want to do with the next couple years of their life. So I would pause this video and I would go back to an older video where I'm talking about how to put together a vision, how to put together anything in life that will give you meaning and purpose as you wake in the morning and as you go to sleep at night. This video is for those that are looking to parse out the little details and get to that point a little bit quicker. My name is Sarab. I make videos about emotional intelligence, about business, spirituality, leadership. Every single day, my mission is to inspire humanity, anyone that's watching, to take larger actions that will actually benefit them and the people around them, so that we can have a better world, a more substantial community to call on. In the pursuit of being a business leader that grosses multiple millions a year, in trying to create a national nonprofit that fundamentally provides a service that I believe the American system is not offering to people despite claiming that they're educating them, I am making sure to parse out all of the details. And I'm making sure to parse out all the details for my team members, my staff, my family, anyone and everyone that is a part of what I am trying to accomplish. I am actively trying to help them parse out what it is that they want to do and what needs to be sacrificed. So one of the major things that I wanted to talk about today is, well, saving, right? So a lot of wealthy people say that money is a mirage. They say that saving money isn't really all that intelligent. They say that you got to invest and have a return on investment in general. And all of that advice is great if you have a couple $1 million and maybe a couple 100,000 saved up in the bank account. But it's not great for the vast majority of Americans that are not having a good time saving the money to put down those down payments for cars, for houses, for all of the things, apartments really, for all of the things that are going to give them the freedom to actually do the other thing, the living life with purpose. So purpose will come after, for most rational people, a understanding of what needs to be done daily in order to live, in order to have food on the table, in order to have a place, a roof over your head, in order to have solid relationships that are actually fun and useful in life. Saving money is the first step of that process. And what that really means is not spending money on things that are silly. So Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad talks a lot about the concept of rich people that really are the middle class in a sense. They end up investing most of their money, meaning they buy things that really are going to contribute to their knowledge base, their network, the growth of their businesses, the growth of some sort of initiative that affects more human beings than themselves. Most middle class people spend money as they wish, and then they save a percentage of that. Most poor people will spend most of their money on buying random snacks from the grocery store, from buying little things, knickknacks they have claimed to themselves are the very essence of who they are and why it's so very important to make money in the first place, so they can afford having a fresh set of nails every 2 weeks, or for having that specific water bottle or that specific little snack. And I always say to my staff and people that are trying to get out of poverty and trying to get out of even the middle class that, dude, all of this stuff that you're buying at this store to make yourself feel like you're living the life that you want is actually holding you back from living that life. You better to spend that money in bulk going to a large distributor and then strategizing how to best utilize those resources. And then the claim becomes, well, Tarab, you know it's cheaper to buy McDonald's than it is to cook my own food? Sure. But what hasn't been factored in, because that's just looking at it monetarily, what hasn't been factored in is the time that it takes for you to get to McDonald's, or the taxes per meal that you get, or the health implications of consistently eating things that aren't very good for you. My argument is that overlooking those things actually makes it so that eating out all the time has a much, much higher cost than actually organizing our households and actually organizing our schedule to maximize utilizing bulk resources. For instance, if you go to Costco and you buy a frozen chicken breasts, you get 3 packs of them for probably cheaper than fridge chicken, and you have the luxury of then planning out a meal based on the amount of resources that you have. On top of that, the meal is much healthier, and you don't have to waste the food because you can just freeze it again. Now, you might think to yourself, that's just food, Tarot. What about clothes? What about things that I want to go out and see? I'm going to a bar every now and then and hanging out with my friends, or going to restaurants and doing all this stuff. And I say to you, the priorities are incorrect, my friend. The priority right now should not be celebrating, because it's hardly even partying. When you have a couple $1 million and you can go out into a different country and see a beautiful view with a drink that you want, with the woman that you want on your arm, or the man or whoever you want on your arm, and the people around you that can also afford those opportunities, now that is a whole different time, and it helps you to contextualize all of the work that you do, rather than going to the bar that's not necessarily as fun or as useful as going to work. It's just some food for thought. That contrast needs to increase over time in order for us to understand that we need to save and we need to invest based on what our goals are. So if the goal is to get a car and put a down payment on a car that costs somewhere around $5,000, it would be intelligent to set a deadline for when to get that thing, and furthermore, to do the math to say, okay, 5,000 divided by the amount of time that I have, how much money do I have to save up monthly? And then to go through the expenses and think about, okay, well, if I don't buy a vape every week, and if I don't buy, 12 snacks every 3 days, then I might be saving a couple $100 there. Okay, what if I start thinking about what my boss needs done outside of the immediate implications of my job and ways to get benefits from doing those things? Okay, fine, you made a couple $100 more, and then, well, where do I need to put that money so that I'm unlikely to spend it? Right? That's the thought process that should be put in my opinion, in trying to figure out what those valuable investments are, and actually having the capital and resources and the strategy to make that investment a possibility in a short time period. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, dude, that's a lot to change in my life. And I get it. Right? At the end of the day, we are our own worst enemies, because if we don't have a belief that we can do that in ourselves, then chances are we're not even going to get to the point where we're becoming slightly more disciplined daily. My friend, you need to believe in yourself. If you do not believe in yourself, why do you believe in anyone else? Why do we have role models? Why do we look up to people? What is our definition of success in life? Right? I say this because if there isn't a strong enough why, that you may go very well a week and save that money. You may even get to a month and save that money and save up that X amount that needs to be saved up monthly in order to get to that purchase. Now, to sustain and to avoid going out in a blaze of glory and spending a couple $100 buying a booth at a VIP booth at a club, or spending a couple $100 on clothing or a cool new Xbox or whatever it is, in order to maintain, we need to have a really strong emotional connection to the goal that we're trying to get. So there's 2 ways of going about this. One is things that you really want, which in my opinion doesn't really move the needle that much. What the other thing I suggest is think about the things that you really don't want. Think about how you really don't want to be when you're 30 years old, when you're 40 years old, when you're 50 years old, when you're 60 years old. Think about all of the things that you really don't want in your life and try to center the why around those things. To look at life more reductively tends to make it a little bit more efficient for actually finding the motivation to change. It's a fundamental flaw, I believe, in trying to teach people how to improve and develop personally. Is setting the goals that you want is one thing, but really eliminating the things that you don't want is actually the smarter way to go, because they tend to be more finite and they tend to be more impactful because it gets you to sacrifice those things quicker. So some affirmations, hopefully, that you can take away from this is something that you should write down now. Smash that like button if you made it to the end of the video. Subscribe. And I want to make sure to give you that time to say, hey, if you've seen this video, if you made your way through this, like, write down the things that you don't want. Write down the person that you don't want to be. Write down the consequences that you don't want to experience. And make a list of those things, and then reassess what it is that you are doing. Actualize your potential catalyst. This world needs you. Take care of yourself.